Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It has been a while. I know we've had a lot of things going on, but just nothing that I've really felt like getting the camera out and giving you an update on. You know, we're still working on the loft rooms in here. They're slowly progressing. We're getting close to having those closed in and having to have power ran out here. You know, I've already got the gardens for next spring plowed. I didn't make a video on that. I mean, that's kind of boring. If you probably saw the thumbnail and that's what got you to click on this, today what I'm doing is I am going to be working up another roadkill deer. So yes, we hunt. I've got some of my camo on now, some of my older camo on. We've got our outdoor channel that if you don't know about it, I'll put a link to it in here or one of the corners here where you can see that. But we also salvage a couple of roadkill deer every year. This deer was hit by the vehicle going up the road in front of us on the edge of our farm here. And I didn't realize that anybody had hit the deer. I just saw the car stop, and I just, went on around and kept going. It stopped at a church where people stop at all the time. My brother came through right after that, and he's like, "Hey, there's stuff all over the road. I think somebody hit a deer." Turns out he went and asked and found out, and they had hit a deer. He did some looking around, and he found it, and I called game warden and got a salvage tag. So what I'm doing today now is I am going to be working up this roadkill deer. I don't know what I'm going to get into. Depends on how bad the hit was on the deer, how much of it's salvageable. It was 22, 23 degrees this morning, so this deer's perfectly fine. It's not like it's middle of summer where it's been laying out there in 80-degree heat, decomposing and rotting and all that stuff happening. So I'm pretty certain that the two rear hams, which is where a large portion of your meat comes from, I'm sure that'll be okay. The back strap, who knows? Depends on where the hit was at. You may get one back strap that's okay. The other one could have a lot of bruising on it, which we probably can't do anything with. But anyway, back over there's the deer. Dog's checking it out. Sadie she goes crazy. I've already had one deer up here that we butchered 2 weeks ago, and then now we've got this one. So she's very curious. She likes to guard the deer when they're up here hanging on the gambrel, waiting to be butchered and everything. But anyway, so I'm going to put it this way. We always get a lot of questions by people asking about our roadkill salvage. And they're like, do you feel safe? Why do you do that? Well, as much as I enjoy hunting, I hunt. I enjoy being out in nature, interacting with wildlife. It is a very sovereign, I'm going to say sovereign, it's a very surreal moment when you take the life of another animal to feed your family with. And I don't take it lightly. But at the same time, even though I enjoy that interaction with nature and being a part of that, I can't knowingly leave this animal laying on the side of the road, knowing it was killed just an hour ago, and letting it lay there and rot just because I may want to go hunt and kill something myself. To me, I'm doing that animal a disservice. I'm doing my family a disservice. I owe it to all the wildlife here that I say that I am working to preserve and protect and help manage for us to have a large, healthy population. I owe it to this animal and all those other animals to make the most use of this animal as I can. And that's just the way I was raised. It blows my mind how many people I know that are hunters that don't have that mentality. They refuse to eat a roadkill animal. They insist on going out and killing more deer than they can eat. I know a couple hunters that always are looking for people to take deer that they've killed because they either don't eat them or they've got more than they need. My freezer's probably going to be full now after this deer by the time you factor in the one I've already got and the other roadkill that we harvest salvaged, and then the meat we had left over from last year. May not hunt anymore this year. That's fine. I've got so many other things I need to be doing around the farm anyway. I don't need to hunt. But I just think it's something that needs to be said. And I'm sure there's a lot of people on this channel that don't hunt. You may have some people on here that are opposed to hunting. In society today, study and polls show that about 80% of society is neutral toward hunting. They're opposed to trophy hunting. They're opposed to non-ethical hunting. You've got about 8 to 9% of the population that are hunters, and you've got about the same portion of the population is strongly, vehemently anti-hunting. Everything else in between, that 80 to 84%, is just neutral. And, you know, it's in my best interest to share with everyone on this channel the way we live our life. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put hunting content on this channel. I have the outdoor channel, as I said, where if you're interested in that, you can go see all that you want to see. You can see the hunting, the fishing, the trapping, the stuff that we have to do here on our farm to survive. Not that we have to survive, but the things we do on our farm to survive, to keep predators under control, all that sort of stuff. That's over on the other channel, because I know it offends a certain subset of the people on this channel, of the subscribers on this channel. So I don't put that here. You can go watch that over there if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to take this, it's just a small 3-point buck. I'm going to take it down over in the edge of the field, far from here, to keep that thing from getting into it. And then I'm going to start butchering it up. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, I got the meat up here to the house now. I got to get it over here and get it in the refrigerator. I got the refrigerator cleaned out earlier this week whenever we butchered my buck from 2 weeks ago now. It's been 2 weeks since I killed it. I let it age for 9 days before we quartered it up, before we butchered it, processed it, ground all the meat, packaged all of it, vacuum packed it, all that good stuff. But I'm going to show you something. When I say we use everything from the animals, here's the evidence of that. These are the leg bones from that deer, from my buck that I killed. I'm going to use these leg bones to make homemade bone broth or deer stock. Really, the only difference between the two is really kind of how long you cook it for. So like if you want to do deer stock, you can do deer stock in 6-8 hours if you want to. When I do bone broth, I will roast all this, and I'll show you how we do it, but I'll roast all this, put root vegetables in there, and then I will throw it in a crock pot, and I will cook it in a crock pot on low for 24 hours. That pulls all the nutrients out of these bones. I'll cut these bones up to expose the bone marrow. Whenever you have them in that crock pot, that bone marrow will just ooze out into your fluid, into your stock material, your bone broth, and you're benefiting from all the minerals that are inside the bones and the bone marrow itself. So we use everything. I don't want to let anything go to waste. It's kind of saddening whenever you see the kind of waste that was on that deer, just because of the nature of it being a roadkill and the amount of damage that a vehicle does to an animal. Whenever we hunt and we do, good clean kill shots, one shot, drop the deer, we always try to take clean kill shots where, we don't want the animal to run at all. We wait for a clean shot so we don't, number one, you don't have to track it. It's not suffering any longer than it has to, but also you have less damaged and less meat loss in that regard too. So going to be working on this, but I'm going to get this meat into the refrigerator and I'll show you the rest of that here. I don't know if I'll do it in this video or not, because it's kind of a long process to do the bone broth, as far as, I got to go get the root vegetables out. I got to go dig my turnips and radishes, and I got potatoes and onions in the crawl space. So I got to get all that stuff together, but we'll see. I'll show you some of that along the way, though. All right, so here's how I like to make my bone broth. I start by sawing the bones up. I do that in order to expose the bone marrow in the center of the bone, so that whenever I simmer the bones later, the marrow will make its way into the broth itself. I then go out to the garden and I use some of our potatoes, onions, turnips, radishes, whatever you have, coarsely chop them, put them on a baking sheet. Next, you just use your seasoning of choice. Here I'm using black pepper, reload rub, full metal jacket, and kosher salt. I'm going to hit that meat and those veggies pretty heavily. I'm going to roast them at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. You then take those, put them in a crock pot, and then you're going to just cover with water. Then you're going to simmer on low for 24 hours. Eventually the meat will fall off the bone. You're going to pull all the bone and the veggies out, strain, and then you're going to put into your containers for storage. You can either freeze, or in our case, we like to pressure can to make it shelf stable. Pressure can at 11 psi for 25 minutes for quarts, and you're done. Enjoy.